we have joining us today who just arrived, Gabby and Raj. Sundra. If you caught their talk last night, it was just fabulous. I was frantically taking notes, just thinking about all the great ways I can use this information in my life. My favorite thing that y'all shared was name that kiss. It was
name that kiss. We're loving that game.
Just a super fun game. And if you want to know what that is, either maybe they'll mention that later, or go watch the previous video from yesterday that'll be restreaming up shortly. And so let me tell you just a little bit about Gabby and Raj before we get started. Oh, first, can we do just a little mic check with you to make sure?
Yes, can you hear us? Robert, can you hear us? Robert, can you hear us?
Yeah,
I can. You sound pretty good. And great. I can see your faces. Your lighting looks great. You both look fabulous. Very pliified.
I just popped on a little bit of burner wear here. I had the white wig on in the last one. We went for pink today.
Fantastic. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Gabby and Raj. Gabby and Raj Sundra are the founders of Relationship Fun and Games, dedicated to creating more play, peace, and passion in relationship. With more than 40 years of training between them and almost 15 years as a couple, Gabby and Raj have the education, experience, and attitude that can really help couples learn to, quote, keep the fights clean and the sex dirty, and to save being nasty for their sex life. Welcome,
yeah,
Gabby.
Not over the kitchen table or who's going to take out the trash or whatnot. Although you could have some fun with the kitchen table, but yeah, we find people are really nasty day to day, and then they get all nice and vanilla when it comes to the bedroom, right? So we want to keep the spice where it belongs.
That's right. Vanilla only sells with ice cream. It does not sell in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm just checking our technology here to make sure we're streaming in all the right places. We're streaming into the multiverse, Facebook and YouTube look good, and we are recording into the cloud, and fantastic. So Gabby and Raj today are going to be giving their signature talk, how to keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. Gabby and Raj, take it away.
All right, awesome. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. And
enable screen sharing for me.
Oh, so sorry. All right. Well, then you say hello, and I'll enable that.
Yeah, hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday afternoon.
Oh, no, that's on Robert's end. So,
Robert, can you enable screen sharing for me, please?
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to make you a co-host. Thank you.
Yeah. We need power.
Yeah, totally. All right. So you should have a co-host.
We need more power, Robert.
Yeah, there we go. So good to see you, Sandra. Red, love you.
Yeah,
good to see you.
We have Annie is here, and a few other familiar faces, and a few new ones or new names.
Well, let's jump right in.
Yes, because especially, the last talk we did yesterday was on argument even better ifing, which we'll mention later on. One tool. We're going to have a ton of tools for you on this one. So we're going to go a little bit more on rapid fire here and leave some time, hopefully, for some questions at the end. But we really want to encourage you to personalize this. But let's first look at the what. We'll look at the who and the how. But we're just jump in of what are we doing here?
So together we're going to identify some relationship hurdles that couples commonly experience.
And for you, we want to personalize this. So be thinking, what are some of your relationship hurdles? One in particular would be really helpful.
We're going to get clear on relationship hopes. What do you hope for your relationship?
Yeah, what are you wanting? We're going to look at the unsatisfactory solutions, put them in quotes, because they're not really solutions. They're our go-to, our unconscious habits or desperate acts.
We're going to look at how you can replace those with solutions that actually really work.
And this is where we're going to spend the most time, right, on the solutions. As I mentioned, we've got several tips for you, as Raj and I like to call them games. We're like, let's have fun as we get through conflict. Let's have fun as we create a sexier, more playful, peaceful, passionate relationship.
And then we're going to talk about how you can set your relationship up for success. How do you take the things that we're going to be teaching you today and actually leverage them day to day, week to week, month to month in your relationship?
Yep, and really personalize it. So how it's impacting or how it works in your life we really want to set you up with some systems. So we have what we call the 4 C's. We'll get to those. As I mentioned, personalize it. That's going to give it more power. Hey, Bradford, good to see you join us.
Good to see you. All right, so off we go. A little bit about who we are.
Yeah, real quickly, why are we doing this? We've been together 15 years, as Robert mentioned, but we did not plan on doing relationship work In fact, people were encouraging us not to get married. They said it was messy. The engagement party, they pulled us aside. The wedding, we were pulled aside. And still here we are 15 years later, it's just getting better and better and better. So eventually people started saying, what the hell did you do? And we were actually asked to speak at a relationship event. People said, you got to be sharing this. You need to share this with more people. And we were humbled, but eventually said yes. That last picture was our first picture. This one is us at our 10-year wedding anniversary with my dad in the background there as the officiant. Renewed our vows there. So it can get better and better and better over time. But we had to look at, what do we do? How did we do this? I don't know. How did we go from it being so messy to then people stopping us on the street and being like, what is it about you?
Yeah, we really
not in
endeavored.
COVID times. We're not on the street now, but that was happening.
We really endeavored to take the different things that we were learning about personal development, consciousness, awareness, and make it fun. Like, how do you actually bring those things into relationship?
And even business practices. Raj is a business consultant. We bring business practices to relationship and relationship practices to business with, of course, a whole bunch of doses of fun. But what we're really all about is just having that shift from being adversaries to allies, and then turning your visions into, you know, the lofty visions, the big ones, and making those new normals, turning them into realities. Okay, so what we're going to do today, these 6 steps that we talk about, we'll run through them quickly and then go through them in more detail. So,
all right, step 1, admit it and take action.
2, identify the hurdle.
Step 3, get clear on how you want it to be.
Then you want to look at those unsatisfactory solutions that aren't really solutions.
And then we want to look at solutions that really satisfy with those things that are actually going to help you.
And last but not least, make sure that we set you up for success. So it's not just an aha moment and an insight, but you actually put structures in place that will, you know, because you go from one room to the other and you forget what you went to that room for. You want to make sure that what's really important, especially if it's challenging, that you set yourself up for success.
Okay, so we're going to deep dive into each one of those steps. So first, admit it and take action. You know, this is often one of the most difficult steps for couples, is to just say like, hey, we'd like our relationship to be better. There's nothing wrong. We just would like it to be better.
Yeah, Raj and I like to hold all is well plus even better if. Pursuing things being better doesn't mean there's anything wrong. And just because we want something to be better, it's just we want to really support that growth and development is part of our couple culture.
Yeah,
we want to get better and better and better. Not the, what's the cliche, you know, it starts as a hot, fiery passion and then the embers, you know, it cools and cools until it's ashes and nothing. That's not, we're doing it the other way. It gets hotter and hotter.
Living as roommates and yeah.
Parallel lives. No.
Congratulations for all of you watching and for any of you doing your own work out there.
Yeah. Oh, so many people doing great work. You know, Annie's on this call. We quote Annie all the time from their Intimacy Intensive and just did their Love Dojo. That was really great. So I'm sure Annie's going to be offering something as well. If you're watching this on replay, check out what Evan and Annie are doing as well.
Okay, so our second step is to look at the hurdles that you might want to be evolving. And, you know, if you can get specific here, then it's really helpful. So
we're going to help you get
yourself.
specific,
Yeah.
right? So again, look in your own relationship right now. Go ahead to the next one, Raj, if you would.
Yeah, but this expression, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. Right?
Chasing your tail.
Things don't change just by thinking about it and doing nothing.
Yeah, I wrote a blog this week on reflection and the importance of it, right? We want to actually look back so we can leap forward. Okay, step 2.
All right, so we're going to look at identifying these hurdles.
And your specific hurdles. So we're going to give you some tricks, some ideas here, but find one that applies for you, but just pick one.
And we're going to look first at fights, and then we're going to look at sex. Okay,
yeah.
so
yeah, you can see up here in the top left, this little icon here, keeping the fights clean and the sex dirty. That's advice that was given to us the day we got married. We're like, oh, that's really smart. And we've been dancing with that ever since. So we're going to give you some tips today on keeping the fights clean and some tips on keeping the sex dirty. But let's look at the hurdles first.
Okay, so some of the common ones are that things escalate all too easily.
Yeah.
You might blow up and you can't take back what you said.
Oh, yeah, I've been there. Or maybe your communication, it's just been, you know, started all nice, but now you just resort and it's okay to call each other names. It's gotten a bit cutthroat, low blows.
Maybe you're having the same arguments again and again.
Yeah, this is what I find couples, when we did a poll last time, we asked couples, this is the number one, the round and round with repeat arguments. Again, that same argument. Or maybe it's resignation. Maybe you've even given up. Now you're here, so you probably haven't given up. So hopefully it's not resigned, but maybe you're just resigned that that's how it's going to be. Go back one just for a moment there, Raj. See those? Yeah. So for those of you watching, just pick one for you, and if it's something else, but identify what's one of your more common friction factors when it comes to fights.
Yeah, again, as much as you can personalize the talk today, the more you'll get out of it. So let's look at some of the common hurdles with regards to sex. So maybe your sex has become stale and predictable. Anyone experiencing that?
I'm smiling because I just realized I'm rubbing your butt. Is that okay?
Seems fine to me.
Oh, right.
We're talking about sex.
Yes, we are. I'm getting to the part about the mastering mini seductions before we're actually to the tips part. But back to the hurdles. So yes, is it stale and predictable? Maybe it's not quite expressed. Maybe there's parts of you that you feel can't be brought to the table.
Maybe your communication is constricted and you feel fearful of saying what you want and you're cautious with your communication.
Yep. Or maybe you have a difference in sex drives. One wants it, I love the line from the old movie Annie Hall, where Annie Hall says, they're both at their therapist, Annie Hall and Woody Allen, and Annie Hall says, gosh, we have sex constantly, like 3 times a week. And Woody Allen says, we never have sex. It's like 3 times a week. So it might be that your sex drive is different, and that's causing some conflicts in your sex life.
Or maybe you're deterred by the disconnect you have in your sex life, and again, you're just living as roommates.
Yeah, no, death by 1,000 paper cups to your relationship. That. No, absolutely. So choose one of those or come up with your own, and bonus points if you put something in the chat. Can you open that so you can see the chat too while we see that, or is that?
Yeah. Feel free to enter in the chat.
Great, I can almost pull it up on here as well. So, all right, next one, step 3, get clear on how you want it to be. This picture is actually in Beirut. Yeah. Unfortunately, that center isn't there anymore. So we send a love and a shout out, everyone who's listening, what you can do to support Beirut and Lebanon, a wonderful, wonderful community and people. Okay, getting clear on how the digressor strikes again.
Okay, great. So now we're going to get clear on how you want it to be. Once you've identified some of the hurdles and in terms of how you're, talking or fighting or in your sex life, now you want to start looking at how you want it to be. So whether it be keeping your cool during arguments.
Maybe you want to actually have there be connection. So when you're communicating and having an argument, it actually brings you closer together, not apart. I think that one where I barked at you through the door the other week actually has brought us closer together. You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the bark.
After the bark. The bark didn't bring us closest together, but how we handled the fight at the end. You may also want to grow. Like, we love to grow. We don't want to be the same people we were 6 months ago. Once Raj was given a compliment and said, someone said, Raj, I can't wait to see who you are 2 weeks from now. So maybe that's inspiring to you and how you want your relationship to be, that you look back, go, wow, we're just getting better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. All right, maybe you want to cultivate quality communication. We often struggle with how do we communicate effectively with our partner, different communication styles. And if you could just cultivate that quality communication, things would be so much better.
Yeah, the when, the how, their preferences, what's the best, strategy, or not even strategy, but dynamic and culture. We keep talking about the couple culture. And there it is again, those repeat arguments. So if those sound desirable to you, you can pick one of those or something else, but what would be wonderful in your relationship?
Mm-hmm. If you're not clear on what you want, then you're probably not going to be able to have it.
Yeah.
Okay, with regards to sex, maybe instead of that stale and predictable, you're really looking for how do you stimulate spontaneous and surprising sex?
Yep. So again, personalize this. Look, what do you want in your sex life next? In landmark education, they call it, that's a course, they say, if you can't say it, you can't have it. So get clear on what you want. What is it in your sexual self-expression that would be, more fulfilling for you if that was present?
Okay, and with regards to sex, also cultivating that quality communication.
That's the critical factor, isn't it, in having a great sex life?
Communication.
One of those tips we'll get to, the romp recap, will make sure that that becomes a normal, regular, easy, comfortable thing. So the more you talk about it, the more it gets better.
And instead of having that disconnect in how much sex you're having, maybe you just have the perfect balance. You find that perfect balance that works for both of you.
Yeah. You're finding like, oh, that would be great. Oh, you like afternoon delights? I like afternoon delights. Well, let's see if we can make that happen. And then diving into a deeper connection, right? So rather than the fights bringing you apart, you want in your sex life, you want to have that bringing you together, not turning you off, causing frustration.
Yeah, so check out for yourself, what would you really like with regards to your sex life? How would you like it to be? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah,
okay,
again,
so
feel free to chat in the Zoom chat.
Well, I see more friends. That's awesome. And some fun playa names as well. Love that. Okay, so understanding unsatisfactory solutions. Again, they're not solutions. These are more the unconscious habits that we have.
Yeah, so throughout our life, we learn from people that we observe in relationships, those who we hang out with, the societal norms. And here are just a few of them. You might name some of the unsatisfactory solutions that you're using in your relationship.
So you first, like if they apologize, then I apologize. If they show that they trust me, then I'll show that I trust them. Just the you first mentality.
Mm-hmm. Me, myself, and mine, just being totally self-centered and not really present to the needs of your partner or your relationship.
Yeah, that actually is a really nice one that's grown over the years of just how much we care about each other's experience, that his unrest is my unrest. His lack of self-expression is my lack of self-expression. So really cultivating that is an awesome thing to do. Sarcasm sickness. We like play, we like humor, we like fun, but everybody knows sarcasm. It's what is that? I often say that if you have to tell someone you were just joking, it wasn't very funny. So watch the sarcasm. That's not actually a solution when you're in conflict. Most common solution that people try to resort to is the blame defensiveness, that ping-ponging of, you're in so much pain, you project out there, and then they're taking it, as blame, and then they defend it. It's just a problem ping pong, no fun.
And then there's that old favorite, storming off.
I don't need this shit. I'm out of here. As opposed to, okay, this is our shit. How are we going to handle this and up-level this, right?
So take a look at yourself. See if you can identify at least one unsatisfactory solution that you use when you're in an argument with your partner.
Yeah.
Oh, do nothing.
Oh, yes. Let's not forget about that. Death by default or death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And I often say that fine is a slippery slope to fucked up, right? Yeah, it's not fine. Don't settle for fine. If you're, watching this, you're probably someone who leans into living an extraordinary life. And with as awesome and important as love is, why would you be satisfied with even an average relationship, let alone one that just, is full of conflict and death by 1,000 paper cuts?
All right, let's move into what are some unsatisfactory solutions with regards to your sex life. So
direct and demanding.
When that's done consciously, it can be a good thing.
Come here now, kiss me.
Kiss me.
That can be very sexy. Yeah. But if you're demanding it, we actually had a couple that we worked with at one point that they had worked with a therapist who recommended that they have agreements about their sex life. So they had birthday sex, Christmas sex, and those deals that they were making, or, hey, it's my birthday, where's my birthday blowjob? That's not very sexy.
Birthday blowjob, unless unless you're doing that in a good way. Okay, critical complaining,
birthday blowjobs are good.
Yeah.
Demanding the birthday blowjob is the part that's not good.
Unless you're doing it playfully.
Playfully.
All right, critical and complaining. Yeah, are you
You
complaining?
never have sex with me. What's wrong with me?
That was the worst blowjob I ever got. Come on.
Not very much of a turn on. Maybe you've resorted just by desperation to using guilt or begging, or as I mentioned, then making deals. It's my birthday, right? Or you've just let it go. Yeah, and that's part of the slippery slope of fine, whatever. It's just not that important.
Yeah,
or it's just never going to happen. So why keep trying?
It seems to get increasingly easy to convince yourself of that as you're in your relationship longer.
That's just what happens.
Which then can also lead to settling for sex for one.
Yeah, yeah. Masturbation is awesome and healthy and informative. But if that's all you're doing and you're getting your sexual release that way and not having that sexual expression with your beloved, that's going to have some impacts. Not good ones.
And then along that whole same line, giving all of your sexual power to porn.
Yeah, because pornography, again, there's healthy, awesome, great porn. You could even be making your own porn. Great. But if you're watching porn and not having relations with your partner, then you're just having a whole different world happening. So just want to make sure that those things aren't replacing. So if those are any of those unsatisfactory solutions for yourself, pick your top one. If there's a different one, write that one down. What have you been doing to just get through your challenges when it comes to sex?
Okay.
Favorite part.
We've looked at admitting it and taking action.
Identifying what gets in the way, right? What you don't want. Identifying what you do want.
The unsatisfactory solutions, and then
and now the solutions that do satisfy.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
So
much better.
is where we're just going to give you a lot of different games, tips, tools to play. And we organized our tips into these different categories to help you find the one that you need most when you need it most.
Yep. Before, go ahead and hit that a few more times, Raj. Before, as it starts, during, and after. So we're going to look at all 8 of these, but we're going to go through quickly because we want to leave some time for some Q&A at the end.
So we're going to start with how to keep the fights clean, and we're going to go through each of those 4 categories, and then we're going to move to how to keep the sex dirty. And this is important because if you use the wrong tool at the wrong time, then
timing is everything.
It's probably not going to work as well.
Yeah. If you use a tool for after a fight, in the middle of a fight, it doesn't usually go over well.
Yeah. Okay, one of our favorites, the drama-free diet.
So when I start working with a couple, I tell them if this is the only tool you work with, it will radically transform your relationship. And essentially, it's the combining of research and work from Harville Hendricks and Helen Hunt, one of my favorite relationship experts out there, and also the work of John Gottman. He came up with the magic ratio. And the Hendricks, they came up with the negativity is the biggest problem in a relationship. And they define negativity as blaming, shaming, or complaining. So one day I was blaming, shaming, complaining something to Raj about taking out the trash. I couldn't cook dinner because the trash was full. And so I said something like, how am I supposed to cook dinner when the trash is full? And he looked at me like, whoa, and said, can I get a do-over? And so this is when we came up with adding in the magic ratio. If we blame, shame, or complain, let's say 5 positive things about the very thing we just said something negative about. Because that's what John Gottman says with the magic ratio. You need a ratio of 5 positive to every 1 negative experience if you're going to have a healthy relationship. So we're like, great, let's get practical, make that happen right then and there. So I said, Raj, thank you for all you do to help take care of the trash that I normally don't even have to ask, and it's almost always taken out. Second of all, thank you that the trash is your job. It's not my job. I hate taking out the trash. Third, you're just so, clean and keep the house beautiful. You're my partner in that. Fourth, you're just my partner in life. So I go from the specific to the more general, and it can be difficult and it can take time. So eventually what happens is you stop saying the blamey, shamey, complainy things. So one way this works is in the repair, and the other way it works is in having you not do it in the first place.
Yeah, and it's an amazing thing once you get past number 3. When 3, you get kind of balanced out again. It's like, okay, we're related, but when you do 4 and 5 of the positive reinforcements, then you're just like luxuriating in your partner acknowledging you, and then you restore. Okay, great. So that's first one, as for before.
Okay, so fight's clean as it starts. Fight is coming up. So Raj, this tool is an oldie but goodie, and we have been using this one. We still use it multiple times in a week. We're actually with family during COVID quarantining, and we use this one even with our family now. And so often I would ask Raj, hey, can you do this? And he was just about to do it, and he'd say something like, I was just about to do it. And I say, well, how am I supposed to know? I can't read your mind. So now if I'm like, hey, Raj, can you do this thing? He'll say, great minds think alike. I'm on it. Don't worry about it. I got you, babe.
Yeah. And, you know, for some period of time, I said that with an attitude, great minds think alike, like get off my back. But that's not the tool.
That's not the tool. No, you're shifting
like, hey.
to, hey, we're on the same page. Oh,
Yeah.
you were thinking about that? I'm thinking about that. Excellent.
Yeah.
I got it. We got this. We're teammates, right? Again, we're looking for that alignment. Oh, this is a fun one.
This is a fun one. Okay, so this is for Fights Clean as it's starting. Anyone have arguments in the car? I mostly see every couple have some argument about how the driving is going.
Yeah, and it could be, you know, you're on your way. We've sat in the parking lot before, about to go into dinner with friends or with family, and you know, like finishing the argument and just having it build up and build up. And it could be about anything. Raj and I in the car, often he's a visionary, and he'll be driving on the left, you know, lane in the fast lane and just be thinking of the future. And I'll say, hey, Raj, our exit is coming up in a mile. And then I'll look down to text or do something.
And then I drive right by it.
Then he drives right by it. He goes right back to his thinking. So I looked up once and I snapped at him and I was like, Raj, you missed the exit again. And, you know, it's probably nice compared to how I did it. I was really annoyed. And he, again, was very calm. Seeing the pattern here? And he said to me, can I get a do-over? I thought, well, I'm really bothered right now, so what can I do instead? I know I'll be hot and bothered. So I said, oh, Raj, I want this exit now. Yes, and I got a rise out of him, but the good kind, not the bad kind. So now whenever I have any tension, and this can happen it's outside of the car, I turn it from bothered to hot and bothered. And we're just bringing play. I'm just kind of pulling myself out of the trigger and just shifting the pattern and bringing some sexiness and play to it.
Yeah, I love that, what you just said, pulling yourself out of the trigger. Because in so many of these things where things aren't working, we're triggered, we're totally identified with our ego. And these tools help us get disidentified.
Yeah, no, we don't want that.
So,
all right, now the heat of it, right? The heat of it. Solutions that really satisfy, fights clean during. This is our first tool that we ever came up with. We were sitting in a restaurant. We had driven 2 hours to get to the restaurant. We were in the bar waiting to be seated, and we started to get into a fight. Oh, goodness. We haven't even sat down yet. No, date over.
Too bad we didn't have that one when we had that secluded beach in the Bahamas.
Right. Yeah, that was a vacation. We had an epic night that was ruined by an argument we could not get off of.
Yeah.
We didn't have this tool yet. So stop, shift, start. We're sitting at the bar, and Raj says, wait a minute. We're out here for this date. This is a special night. Let's just stop, shift, start. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So it's shorthand for let's stop what we're doing. Let's shift out of this trigger and start being who we said we are. We have a mantra of who we are, a vision for our relationship. And so when we do stop, shift, start, we can say stop, shift, start, and then declare that vision. So we're kind of anchored back. It's like, I got one toe in that reality. Come meet me there. Whoever is wakes up out of the dream of the separation and conflict between you to remember, oh, wait, that's right. We're partners and we're going to get through this together.
Yeah, we also sometimes have some indication, like a flag on the play. You know, it's similar to a referee saying, hey, stop, we're going to gather ourselves and we're going to start again.
Yeah, and of course, you can use all sorts, modify this. You can use the colors of the light, red, yellow, green. For me, that's a little bit of like controlling. I like a little bit more of the play. I'm a bit of the rebel, like, don't tell me what to do. So stop, shift, start is a more empowering anchor, but find one that works for you if it's not these words. All right, that's fights. Okay.
And after.
Oh, after. We forgot after.
Can't forget after.
Okay, so our talk yesterday, we did a full 40 minutes on this one. So you can always go if you want to know more about this one, but this is about after your argument. Rather than rehashing it, you can actually now make sure the argument's over. And name your argument so it's that thing that's you guys keep doing, but it's not what's really happening. It's a pattern from the past. You're having another opportunity to get through. But you can score your argument to see how you can do it even better next time.
Okay, so you want to name the argument that you're having, and then out of a score of 10, you're aiming for a higher score here. You want to talk about these 5 different things about your argument. How often have you had this argument? If you've had it many, many times, then it's a low score because like, hey, come on now, that's that same argument.
You're going for the Olympics, you want a 10,
yes.
right?
Okay, then the level to
the 10 is you've never had that fight before. Because if it's a brand new fight, you've never had that, then we think that that's good territory.
Okay, and how extreme did it get? You know, if the neighbors are calling the police and you're breaking things, then that's a 1, very extreme. If it was just like a passing thing and you move past it quickly, then that would be a 10. That's what we're after. Get on it, get off it quickly.
Yes. Okay, so did you do that?
I did that one.
Okay. Well, you said quickly, so I was thinking often for a second. Yeah. Okay, so how long, right? Is this a blip? Was this a 20-minute fight, a 5-minute fight? Has it been 3 days, 3 weeks? The fight just never stops. Again, a 1 is that the fight is ongoing, and a 10 is it was a blip. Nobody even in the room would have even noticed we had a fight.
Okay, and tools, did you use any tools to help navigate the argument? You know, a 10 is you whipped out, like, can I get a do-over? Or, you know, any of the tools that you have or that we're teaching you, that would be a 10. 1 would be like, what tools you totally like are totally in it and you're totally oblivious to any tools.
Great. And that 1, if you have a low score there, is just a given. That's where you should focus. Almost all couples, when I work with them, they don't have a high score in this area. Now, if you had a high score in using tools and you're still having all of these other issues, that's a different story. But mostly I encourage couples to focus on what are the tools that you're using. And then finally, the lessons learned so that you can turn the breakdowns into the breakthroughs. Did you talk about it afterwards? Did you score an argument? Even better ifing. Did you seek counsel? Did you make goals and put them in your schedule? Did you do something to take that? What's that line? Experience is expensive. Just be sure you get what you paid for. So did you get the value of that experience that you just had?
Yeah, and there's so much to get out of an argument. Just, you know, milk it for everything it's worth. Okay, so that was some satisfactory solutions for keeping the fights clean. And now we're going to move on to keeping the sex dirty before.
And just a reminder, you know, pick and choose the ones that inspire you, stretch it, use and adapt it, make them your own, make up your own games. This is about doing something, initiating that inertia of investing in intimacy.
Okay, so before, we love this one, mastering mini seduction.
That's what I was doing while I realized, oh, he's trying to talk and I'm caressing his butt. That might be a bit distracting.
Nope.
No, you like that? Okay,
Focus,
good. So calm and focus, good. A little butt caress. Mastering mini seductions, Raj and I found, especially working together, that we would get into the functional. And so we started to create these games like no business in the bedroom, you know, like we don't talk business when we're in bed. And also, how can we create just the sensual experience between us on a regular basis so it's not so clunky when we do decide that we want to have more intimacy. And so we just found these ways to master mini seductions.
Yeah, our newest one is the Name That Kiss, which Robert was referring to earlier. And it's just as quickly as this, hey, name that kiss.
Well, let's do the Name That Kiss as one of the, we'll switch out one of the tips here for that. That's I guess it is sex dirty before. It is sex dirty before. Okay, name that kiss. I'm just watching the time.
Name that kiss.
Name that kiss. Okay. A 3-second soft lower lip, top lip, straight on.
Okay.
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 All right. All right. And we'll do that. We do that most mornings in the shower. One of us will say, name that kiss. And the other says what kind of kiss they want. You know, Raj might say, 10-second ear kiss. And it's just a game that we've been playing that keeps these seductions, that keeps that sexy space first thing in the morning while we're taking a shower. We do it also last thing at night. So again, find your own mini seductions, whether it's name that kiss or something else.
Yeah, foot massage.
I love the foot massage. That's a really good one.
Okay, as it starts.
Booty before brekkie. So this one, it's hard to find the time. Maybe you have kids even, work, whatever it is, it can be the initiating, the inertia, as I talked about, can be difficult, especially fitting it into your day. So Raj and I came up with, we used to, have a lot of people around on the weekends and a lot of things going on. And so we came up with this one of before we go anywhere, before we even eat, let's just have some booty before brekkie. So we just kind of like throw it out there and invite it. We're actually skipping a lot of, it might be, a lot of foreplay or all of that, but it's just like, we'll look at each other and be like, hey, booty before brekkie. And it's a great way of just creating that on-ramp for some intimacy in the morning and really setting up your whole day to go differently.
Okay, so we have so many in the during, but this is one of our favorites, 3 no's of naughty.
Okay, so the 3 no's of naughty came up. Of course, all of these tips come up in actually how we're doing in our relationship. And one night, Raj and I were having a epic Saturday night, as our friends Rano and Sierra call them. And it was getting sexy. And Raj proposed something. And I said something. And I said, no. But it was very clear that I was interested, but I was not ready to say yes. So we came up with this 3 no's of naughty, where there's no. And that is, you're going to totally harsh my mellow by even talking about that right now. Back up. Or there's no, where it's, I don't think so, but there's some room for some telling me some more. Or there's no, which is, I'm not a yes yet, but I'm really close.
So it's just a way to encourage that quality communication and not being, fearful of expressing your desires.
And of course, though, we just want to say that consent is not only required, it is sexy. So yes means yes and nothing less. But with in a consenting relationship, when you're exploring this dynamic, this can be a lot of fun as well. 3 no's of naughty.
Okay, so Sex 30 After, this is one of our faves, the romp recap. We expect our sex life to be either great out of the gate or just like keep getting better by itself.
Or if it's not great out of the gate, it's not going to get any better. Just my college roommate and I, we used to say, I can't believe to say this is for you, Christy, you can't fix the dick, right? It's like, and it meant like if he's a jerk or if it just didn't fit, like just the relationship, just in general, you just can't fix that. But I can attest that, even things that aren't your favorite can become your absolute favorite, and things that are good can become great. This woman, Zipporah Kingsbury, an intimacy expert, wonderful woman, we interviewed her, and she said, no matter where you are in your sexual relationship, I promise you're just scratching the surface. And I was like, it was as if I had my first orgasm all over again. And so that's what this tip is about it getting better and better and better over time through communication.
Okay, so you can come up with your own criteria, but we have 3 that we like: intimacy, sexiness, and technique. So not right after you have sex, but a couple hours after, or even the next day when you're on a walk or something like that, you can say, hey, let's do
or over dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And just having it be as common and as comfortable as like, what'd you think of that restaurant? Or what'd you think of that movie? Oh, well, I really liked the storyline, but I thought the casting on that one character was a little off, and that kind of was just a bit of a distraction. Now, it's not personal and you're not scoring each other, but Raj and I will actually have a conversation, and we'll kind of, you can put a score to it with a game. We play the game for the triple double, 10s all across the board. Not like striving for it, but it's a game we play that we'll say, hey, is that a best ever? Was that a 10-10-10? But you can just ask these questions, and of course you can modify it and come up with your own criteria. We like intimacy, how connected and did we feel? How sexy and hot was it? And what about the skills? Oh, I loved it when you just turned me all of a sudden, or when you told me what to do, or when you touched me this way. And you can give some specifics.
Yeah, so you can give intimacy, say like an 8, and you could say, hey, it'd be even better if we had eye contact during penetration or things of that nature. So you can get really specific about how you'd like it to be next time. Okay, great. So we just covered some solutions that really satisfy.
Yep.
In both Sex Clean and Sex Dirty. We're going to start talking about how do you set yourself up for success? How does this not just turn into something that you just heard and goes in one ear and out the other?
Okay, but pause for a moment. And so of all of those solutions, again, personalize it. We're keeping the fights clean and keeping the sex dirty. Was there anything that resonated? Anything you're going to adapt? Anything you want to play with? write it down, send a text to yourself, schedule it in your calendar, but take a physical action now. So this isn't just an aha moment. That's part of setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, maybe one tool for fight clean, one tool for sex dirty.
Okay, so let's see. We call this, as I mentioned, the 4 C's cycle of success. At first, you create what is your declared action. You know, like we're going to play the kissing game every morning in the shower. That's a declared action. So then you're going to compare and track your progress and make some adjustment. When we first started playing the game, we did it about 50% of the time. I'd say right now we're about 80% of the time. And it becomes more and more. We're just checking in, and Raj and I have a weekly meeting where we look at our goals and our budget and our calendar, and we track our progress with those things.
Okay, great. So that was compare. All right, so complete at the end of some period of time that you decided to take on this new tool or this new practice, you just go back and you look, you evaluate, hey, how did that go? You know, how did we do with it? Is there anything that we learned from that, which then moves into consider? And
well, before you go to consider, just that one on getting complete, because sometimes when people work really hard and they're like, oh, I did all this effort this week. Oh, I don't need to do it next week. Or it might be, oh, I didn't do any effort. Oh, this goals thing, it doesn't work. So just make sure every day is a new day. And that's what getting complete is about, is being able to put that in the past and move forward.
Yeah, and to really get the most out of what the ground that you have taken, then consider, like evaluate, hey, how did that work? What can we do better? For a while, we were like, I don't really get the name that kiss thing. How does that work again? And then we added, if you don't feel like naming a kiss, you can say you name that kiss.
Right, we iterate and iterate, evaluate, adjust, but we're in this cycle of what works, what could be even better if, what works, what could be even better if, whoopsie daisy, that didn't work so well, what else could we try there, right?
Yeah, and this a little intention, attention, and action can go a very long way is like a very powerful framework for your relationship. It doesn't have to be like this massive in-depth endeavor that like is so hard. If you just do a little bit over time, things just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be work, right? You spread it out a little bit, it becomes part of your culture. Evolution and growth becomes part of your culture, not problems that you have to fix all the time. We have problems and we have to fix them sometimes, but if that is the bulk of where you spend your relationship energy, is the fixing the problem versus the creating the vision, then that's what you have. What you give energy to grows. So you're going to have more focus on the problem, more conflict. All right, so those are your 6 steps. So just to review, at first we admit it and take action, and then we identified what the hurdles, what the problems were.
Then we got clear on how you want it to be, both in sex clean fights, fights.
You had it.
Dirty, sex clean?
No. Don't get those mixed up, folks. Fights clean, sex dirty. And then looking at those quote unquote solutions that weren't really working, what you just were resorting to, what we resort to in relationships. And then our favorite part, the solutions that really satisfy. And we kind of gave you a fire hose, I think, of 8 different tips there. I think we might have slipped in a 9th with the name that kiss there, right? So pick one, right, that looking at those solutions that really satisfy so that you can set yourself up for success. And when you do those 4 C's, take your own calendar, whether it's Post-its, whatever it is that works for you, but make your declarations and then track that, are they actually happening or not, and keep looking at how you could do better and better. So speaking of doing better, what are you gonna do for your next steps? You get to choose.
You can either completely forget about this 24 hours from now, you know, and
that's the most common approach.
Yep. Well, maybe not with this crowd.
Maybe not with this crowd. Well, but no, research has shown within 24 hours, you have forgotten 80% or more of what you heard, right?
So really taking what you're learning and putting it to action is so important.
So I often say, pick your prompts, right? Put it, post it, print it out, write something, draw a picture, print something, put it on your fridge, your bathroom mirror, in your car, set reminders in your phone, but use what is physically around you.
Okay, making a public declaration. If, left to our own devices, we often just keep doing the same thing that we have been doing, but either in a couples group or, some other way to declare publicly that you're doing this, it adds to the accountability, to helping you follow through.
You're more likely to keep a declaration to someone else than you are to yourself, and better to another couple, which I think takes us to the next line item here. Yeah, so a buddy system or a couple council. Raj and I have one group, it's just one other couple that we meet with weekly. And we have another group that's 2 other couples, so 3 couples, and we meet with them every 2 weeks. And we're just checking in on how are things going. With one of the groups, we actually have specific goals. The other one is just free form and we show up. But we have, again, this couple culture that has us declaring what's working and what we want to have be better in our relationship. It's not just us, but in community can be a powerful addition.
Yeah, one of our favorite structures to actually take on tools and create what we want and have it is the 90-day game. 90 days is a great period of time to create something that you're excited about and move through the steps to make that a new normal.
Yeah, we create, in fact, seasons of the year. We've just finished the season of play, summertime, and now we're moving in September into the season of peace through Christmas. And then in the January, it's the season of passion, Valentine's Day, the New Year. So we set goals for play, peace, and passion 3 times a year as just a habit and a practice. So we don't weaponize that practice of like, you're not playing your goals well enough. If you reach 30% of your goals, it's 30% more of what you said you wanted. It's the only way to lose the game is to not play. So it doesn't have to be 90 days. It doesn't have to be those themes, but I want to encourage you, take not just, this piece here and this idea and put it into your calendar, but look at where do you want to be come December 15th in this realm in your relationship and keeping the fights clean of this X30. And you can use a 90-day game to do that. Raj and I have been doing that about 6 or 7 years now.
At least.
Yeah, next line or 2. Okay, of course, in addition to working with a buddy, you can get personalized support or a coach or a 90-day game. And finally, the whole crux of what my mission in the world is that couples have a forward focus, that they don't spend the majority of their energy on the problem pathologizing or the dissecting a drama. And having an inspiring vision is a great way to do that. So I did have a picture of Mystic here we want to share with you in a second to wrap up. But Raj, why don't we share our relationship vision mantra as a way for wrapping up here and as our public declaration.
Should we stop sharing so that we can see?
That's a great idea. Well then here, why don't you show the picture of Mystic there, and then we'll close by saying our vision and of course take some questions.
Okay.
Whoever has some questions. There you go. Okay, so I think this was 2 years ago. I'm not quite sure. Maybe even last year. But you can see Robert right there. Thanks for hosting, Robert. Purple in the center. There you and I, Raj, are. I'm right next to that Brian there. And so if you haven't been to Camp Mystic, we hope that we all get to visit on the playa next year and encourage you to come and say hello. And if you are a member of Camp Mystic, thank you so much for all that you bring and contribute. It's just a joy and a delight. This would have been my 16th or 17th burn, and
my 13th,
14th or 14th, something like that. And we can't wait to be back there with you again.
Okay, so our
now you can stop sharing
relationship mantra.
Stop sharing.
I already did. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay, so ready?
Yeah.
I love
my marriage and my husband. We are playful, peaceful, and
passionate.
We're hot for each other and express it daily. We generate with intention. We communicate with care. We seek to spot, understand, and meet each other's needs and delights. We contribute to the world. We care for our bodies. We are on top of what is to be done and abundant with our finances, time, energy, and love. And we say that every morning over breakfast so that we are speaking it and you can hear where it's out of alignment. So if we say we're hot for each other and express it daily, I'm like, oh, we haven't had sex in like 2 weeks. We might want to align there. It's a great way, instead of waiting till there's a problem that emerges, but of continuing to true up to who you say you are as a couple. You can even use it when you're in an argument to hold on and say, hey, that stop, shift, start I mentioned, go back and then say your relationship vision at that time. It can be a great anchoring piece.
Okay, well that is the talk, and we just wanted to open up if anyone had any questions or anything that you'd like to hear more about.
Need a copy of that, please. Deanne, which one was that of the copy of? We'll make sure.
Oh, maybe our mantra.
Oh, our mantra. Excellent. I'm actually, because I've helped I don't know, a couple dozen couples create a mantra now. And I've just been putting them all together. So you won't see who's or whose, but for each category, what people say. So I'm putting that together and will be coming out soon. My email is Gaby, Gaby. You can put it in the chat, Raj, at relationshipfunandgames.com. So send me a note and I'll be happy to send that to you when we put that piece together. We'd love to hear another talk, how to attract a partner. Yes, there's so much on that. And I can even, we talked about that a little bit at the end of the last session, but it wasn't about how to attract a partner. It was a little more specific. But with attracting a partner, the two pieces that I would say, there is the attraction part. Maybe you can speak to attraction, Raj. But the piece that I'm always looking at is, trusting the universe is bringing, love can be ready around the corner, but it's not getting distracted by different things. So the two questions I like to ask when I met someone and would I know if this is the right direction to go or not is, what does your gut say? Listen to your head over your gut. And can you be more yourself or do you have to be less of yourself? And so self-expression is just one of my higher values, as I imagine. Hey, Philippe, many people being here. And so that's what I would say if you are looking of attracting that person. Raj, you haven't seen anything about attracting them?
Be yourself and be present.
Be yourself and be present. I do remember, before I met Raj, I was single for 2 years and I went on 2 dates in 2 years. And during that time, I was committed to just loving my life and living my life with my community. I was convinced that I was going to find love around the corner. So I better just embrace and enjoy my single time. And, we don't do this right now, but I'd go to concerts by myself. But just being out there, doing the things I love, being lit up, and being lit up by what you love is what's going to attract the right person.
Yeah, like when you come out of a landmark course or off the playa or any kind of growth development course, you're just more yourself, and you notice that people are naturally attracted to you. So, doing that inner work, shedding some of your rackets and just being able to be more present, more yourself, show up that way.
Speaking of being more yourself, sorry to look at Philippe. Love adding the glasses. Philippe, are you up next? You're muted there. If you want to unmute yourself there. Maybe
I'm next.
You are. Well, good. I'm
Great.
so glad. I'm sure Robert's going to introduce you, but Philippe was on as a dear friend and a fellow mystic, and we have taught at many of the same places many a times, and he's been on our show, our former show. We haven't been doing it recently, but I quote you all the time, Philippe, about the yes and no but.
Right.
So thank you so much for teaching that. I'm looking forward to what you have teaching today. We do have 4 minutes left. Anybody else have a question, whether it's being in a relationship or attracting one, before we leave you in the capable, talented, wise hands of Philippe?
Or any tool you might want to take on.
Yeah, or any questions about the specific tools that were there?
All right.
All right. Well, we get our last few moments of, what does Mateo say? What is that? That's different.
Yeah, I did have a question.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mateo, go for it.
How do you tell the difference between a conflict that is worth doing well and a conflict that just needs to end a relationship?
Yeah, that's the should I stay or should I go now conversation. And creating a shared relationship vision is a wonderful way to do that, because the process, you go off on your own first and look at not even with this person, but what's my ideal relationship? And then you bring those two and compare them and see, and you will probably find you're more aligned than you think. And you can, through that process, identify if there's any deal breakers. But to me, most couples leave the relationship just when the transformation is getting good, especially, if it's not someone who's been together 10, 15, 20 years, but the 2-year mark or even 6-month mark. But as I said before about attracting someone and dating, for me, the biggest factor of should I stay or should I go now is listen to your gut, not your head. Right? Because your gut is going to be a lot smarter and a split second later. So I say get to a quiet place. Could be in nature, but get for yourself a quiet place and ask a simple yes or no question. Like, is this the best relationship for me right now? And your answer will be there and your mind will try to talk you out of it.
Yeah, another thing that I like to do, if it's a recurring thing that you've seen in different relationships, it might not be the relationship. And so, you can, at a minimum, see if you can heal that thing so you don't carry it into the next relationship. And you also might be surprised that the relationship that you thought wasn't working is the perfect one.
And you could end up resolving that in that relationship and say, I know this issue is going to come up in the next relationship and I don't want to have to go through that. I'm already in the conflict here. Let's actually turn the breakdown into a breakthrough and then from a good place decide if it's the relationship you want to be in or not. I personally am not a fan of breaking up over conflict. I actually like to take a set period of time, and then when you're in a calm space, not as a reaction from an argument, that's the time to look at. I actually have my clients, if they're going to break up, I have them schedule when they don't think about breaking up and when they will think of breaking up.
Can I ask a quick question about what you just shared?
I'm sure, could you do it in the chat? Because I just want to be fair to Philippe, and since we have he's on in 1 minute, but I'm happy, I'll stay on. Are you okay, Philippe, to take one more question?
Yeah, quickly, because I only got an hour. So
yeah, no problem, but I saw you do
fast.
that with your hands, like, but go for it real quick, Serena.
Oh, just even more specifically, what you feel is the difference between head and gut, because I feel like it's interesting. I'm very connected to both, but it's still hard to discern between the two.
It sure is. My friend Mia Kara is a wonderful resource on intuition, and I would recommend just practices for tapping into your intuition. For me, the gut, it's all body sense, right? So getting to a quiet place. And for me, I listen to where do I get like shaky and I contract, and where am I soft and relaxed? And I'm really listening to the body cues over the words.
Another thing is to look for what comes through when you're in a meditative state, rather than getting kind of disidentified from your sort of egoic, and just listen for what comes through your awareness and consciousness.
So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Mystic, Burning Man, Robert, Philippe. So delightful to see you again. Look at all that self-expression and color. I love it. The shirt, the background. So fun.
Rocking it, Philippe. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your afternoon and enjoy your time with Philippe.
Yeah, here's to keeping it playful, peaceful, and passionate. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.